Well, it's lovely to be here today with Chris Klotzbach, from the director of Flurry, to talk about your annual State of Mobile reports. So tell me a little bit about the report itself and like how you find the information.
Absolutely. So Flurry Analytics is part of Yahoo. We were acquired in August of 2014, but we've actually been around since 2008 with the launch of the iOS App Store. So Flurry works with over 940,000 mobile app developers worldwide. We have insight into 2.1 billion devices. So we have massive scale and a really great understanding of how users and consumers are engaging in mobile applications and on their smartphones. Specifically in Europe, we have insight and work with close to 200,000 app developers and measure close to 500,000 mobile active users every single month. So again, operating at very, very large scale, which gives us a great understanding of how users are engaging with applications.
And overall in Europe, it seems that app usage is going up. Is that to be predicted?
Yep. So we are actually seeing growth in Europe and in the UK specifically outpace global growth at this point, which means that you guys are still engaging in smartphones, still acquiring those devices, and still seeing an increase in usage. Globally, we saw year-over-year session growth. So a session is anytime anyone opens an application, increased by 11%, and in the UK specifically, year-over-year between 2015 and 2016, session growth 28%.
Are there any particular types of apps that are doing particularly well at the moment? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. So globally as well in Europe, messaging and social applications are dominating users, both time spent and driving the year-over-year session growth. So what we see is that the function of a messaging app has expanded beyond just communication to, say, media distribution, content discovery, and even entertainment. So we're coining a term called communitainment. So it's a mouthful, but it's using a messaging or a social application for the sole purpose of entertainment. And you see that with apps like Snapchat, where rather than actually imparting information to somebody, you're just filming yourself with a filter on your face, saying nonsense, and sharing that with your friends, which, I am guilty of as as a grown adult. I am constantly a deer on Snapchat.
Well, it is the best filter, let's face it. With this in mind, do you have any advice for marketers as to how they can kind of build their app work?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've found that daily habits make for really, really sticky application experiences and for people to return to them. So if you can dig into a user and their daily habits, you're likely to have a successful app or a successful marketing campaign to actually engage that user. We also see that content and content distribution on these messaging and social platforms is a really powerful way to talk to a consumer or a user. So if you can get onto the platform and communicate to your consumers and users that way, then you'll for sure see success.
And obviously you mentioned Snapchat, which is IPOing soon. Have you been following that, and have you any thoughts on that?
Yeah, we see it as really at the heart of the trend of communitainment and content distribution and discovery. You can read up and you see that they have a ton of success with their discover function, and marketer and media organizations are able to drive engagement on that platform. So we're super excited about Snapchat. Other applications like House Party, which I don't know if you've ever used. Yeah, so it's this new emerging app that allows people to video conference, and there's a ton of engagement from a younger demographic, but that usually bleeds into older folks like me.
And me. And obviously talking about Europe, have there been any changes since the Brexit over the past year, since that decision came out with app usage, with mobile usage?
So we saw across Europe, in the UK as well as in Germany and France, an increase in the business and finance app category. So we hypothesized that people are really glued to those types of applications because of the climate and everything that's happening here, as well as the global level. Users are finding a lot of value in business and finance applications because they're delivering real-time or daily information to the folks there.
I noticed as well that phablets, everyone's favourite new term, has been growing in adoption in the markets where Android is more prevalent. Do you think that the tablet is going to have to kind of move to meet this? Do you think that Apple will have to respond?
Yeah, so a phablet device is anything larger, a smartphone anything larger than 5 inches, right?
Okay.
And we've, as you said, found that phablet devices are more prevalent where where Android devices are are dominant. Apple's done a phenomenal job of building both, medium phones and phablet devices. And to look at their market share, it's still remarkable because they only have one device, right? They have the iPhone 7 Plus, whereas Android phablets, there are hundreds of manufacturers.
Right.
So in a very, very short period of time, Apple has built and met sort of market need in that one single device. So I think that we'll start to or continue to see sort of people acquiring both Android and iOS phablet devices and activating them. One thing interesting to note is that in the UK, Apple dominates with market share in terms of phone distribution, with over 56% of devices being Apple devices.
That is quite a lot. And obviously, looking to the future, what are your expectations based on the trends you found over the last year?
Yeah, so I think that in the U.S. we measure time spent on phones, and we found that users spend close to 5 hours a day on their smartphone. So you have to ask yourself, how much more time can we give to this device? How much more time do we have in a day to be on our phones? So we're starting to see certain app categories grow at the expense of other app categories. Whereas in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of the mobile app revolution, there was just massive growth as smartphones were acquired by people and activated. So one trend we'll see is that app developers are going to have to work harder to command the attention of their users, but we definitely have a very, very captive audience.
Fab. Well, thank you ever so much for talking to us.
Of course.
And look forward to seeing more about the report.
Great. Thank you.